Yeah, so it's an average 3 weeks of a month, and that's why we don't charge monthly basis, because it's four classes, and then you pay for the 4 classes. There's no agreement. You can leave anytime whenever you feel like, but I would like that you have that inner commitment that I want to go all the way. Then you will have the greatest treasure coming on your way. And so, secondly, I would not do the class when I travel to India, which is once a year. So there will be no class between October, November, and December. So that is the time uh, I don't take the Vedanta class.
You said you're recording it, so if we had to miss a class, could you make it up by watching it?
Yeah, so you may not get the video because this is the first time I'm doing the video, but you get the audio file,
Okay.
definitely. Audio file can be, so there are 3 people already taking online,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be getting audio file. You can get through Hightail or Dropbox or CD, whatever you prefer if you miss the class.
Okay.
Yes.
The day that you take off each month, will that be the same?
No, it changes. So like next week there will be class, but a week after that there will be no class. So for the month of February, be sure there will be no class a week after next. I think it's 14th February. Is that correct? Wait, 14th February.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm perfect.
14th, yes.
I was gonna be out
Oh,
then anyway, so
That's
that's
Valentine's Day anyway.
perfect, yeah.
okay.
It's a national holiday.
Right.
Is it?
Vacation.
Right, Singles Awareness Day.
Singles Awareness Day.
um, so why now the part that you can take these handout, please. Wait, can you please pass the handout? Thank you.
Okay. Are we on an email list where,
Thank you.
That's why I took your email when you came in. I should be eligible to read that. If you write it in your own handwriting, I may not be able to. And remember, spirituality doesn't mean one thing, and that is a seriousness. It doesn't mean seriousness. It means light. It means wit. It means humor. And we have made a tendency to make a spirituality so serious, and that you're not going to find in this class. And so I have to be awkward sometimes just to show the lightness of
Just so
the.
we can laugh at you.
You can laugh at me. Okay, good. That's good.
I
Also.
can help you with that.
Okay, good.
I will make fun of things.
And the second part of the class is my favorite part of the class. It is the story of Mahabharata. And that story, remember,
What?
don't worry about the name. Just story. Write a story if you want to write.
Okay.
The that rem, in our reality, whatever we can experience, nothing is in a straight line. Straight line is a fallacy. Straight line is an arbitration. It's a fabrication of a mathematician's mind. Everything is in circle. It's in a circular motion. This is why India in the ancient time they never wrote history, date wise. They never wrote the history. They wrote what was a significant thing happened. Because they knew that it is going to repeat. And we just continue to repeat. Everyone has a cycle. We are going to talk about that cycle, but now understand this story, the second part of the class, which is after 6 months. Mahabharata. Mahabharata, Mahabharata. Mahabharata. Rex can say it. Rex, go ahead, say it.
Mahabharata.
You see?
Wow.
He's good. Mahabharata is the longest epic of the entire world. Longest epic. It is 16 times longer than Bible. And it has so much psychological and a spiritual aspect that um, we don't need a therapist in our life. Or every therapist should study Mahabharata. Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. Huh?
Got everything in it.
It has everything in it. So that, and we are reliving that war which took place almost, let's just say, 15,000 years ago. Remember, and this is something that your mind would not like to believe and not like to accept it, that in that Mahabharata story, they were using space travel, they were using planes, they were using modern medicine, transplantations, they were using nuclear weapon, and there is a description of all that. Although our interest is not in those kinds of things. Our interest is going to be psychological and spiritual interest. But the point I'm trying to say is that this is not the first time that we are experiencing what we are experiencing. History repeats itself. So we are kind of like in the same place where that Mahabharata war took place and that annihilated everything. Almost everything. So it is an amazing thing that how cookies crumble. You will see when it begins to crumble, it crumbles really fast. And you will see in that epic that we are going to study in the second part, in the Bhagavad Gita, that is the most astonishing book of our existence. 18th chapter. And
Is a story?
it's part of the story. So they are. It's a frame tale, story within a story, story within a story.
Oh, so the part of the Bhagavad Gita. has
No,
a
part
story?
of the Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Yeah.
it's
It's within the story.
one story
Got
of
it.
it.
Every therapist, or we don't need a therapist if we study Bhagavad Gita, basically. So anyway, so that would be second part of the class. Do you know that when the war took place, it annihilated 99% of the population? And we are getting an amazing discovery from that ancient India, the remnants of the nuclear weapons, the remnants of the cities, the remnants of the advancement of that society. That history will be amazingly changed. Do you know that majority of the translation was only done in 19th century AD?
I know, just recently that it's.
Yeah, Max Muller, the German who hated India, was the first time he started translating. So everything became a biased translation because they could not imagine anything beyond Moses' time, let's just say, or Abraham. They could not imagine that something can be so advanced, so they had to downgrade it. Of course, now, because of the research and because of the other people who are coming into play, there is only one definition of truth. It cannot die. What is dying is
Illusion.
untrue. Thank you. It's untrue. Untrue is going to die. The truth cannot die no matter what, no matter how hard you try to beat, no matter how weak it is. The untruth, the whole world can have an untruth, and truth can be only one speck of dust. Guess who is going to win? The whole world or a speck of dust? So don't worry about how weak you are or how different you are or how much by yourself. Pay attention, are you part of the truth or you are part of the lie? And all the lie is outside, the truth is inside. So focus inside. So what happened? The truth didn't die. It comes up, and we are participating in this kind of a class. Because of that, the line of truth continues. Of course, in Kabbalah, you will see it doesn't matter what you study. Doesn't matter what you study. You will find Vedanta will prevail in that teaching. Whether you study in the Gnostic Christianity also. You'll be surprised how Gnostic Christianity, and sometimes I do workshops and classes on Gnostic Christianity, and I'm just surprised that how much is similar. How much? And even Christ is mentioned in the some of the Indian scriptures long time ago, thousands of years ago. It is called Bhavishya Purana. Don't worry about the name. Bhavishya Purana is one of the scripture that Christ is mentioned, Moses is mentioned in those scriptures, because they are the prophecies of that time. Bhavishya means future and Purana means history. Think about that. So someday we'll talk about. There is so much to talk, and I'm limited on time today, and I want to do the meditation. So I want to just talk a little bit historical aspect of this war and what happened during that war. So the life which was prevailing, it prevailed on the bank of a river in a northern part of India, which is now in Pakistan. The name of the river, which was a very important part for civilization, was
Indus River.
Sindhu.
Oh.
Sindhu River, close enough. Sindhu River. Sindhu River was the name. And the people who were living on the bank and having a civilization were called Aryans. The word Aryan is a Sanskrit word which means noble. It had nothing to do with Hinduism. And they were the river, because when the Iranian came and Persian came in that time, Persia was the name, they could not say it Sindhu, they called it Hindu. This is how the word Hindu came into existence. So basically, Hindu means nothing. The people who say I'm a Hindu, they know nothing that what they are saying, because Hindu means nothing. The word Hindu does not mean anything.
It's a mispronunciation.
It's a mispronunciation of the river Sindhu. When a European came, because the French was a prevalent language, they could not pronounce H and they called it Indu. Indu became what Michael said, Indus River. And from that Indus River, the name India came into existence also. So India is not a real name also. And this is a historical fact. Any Google search will tell you this thing.
Same for Cherokee.
Same for
Cherokee.
Cherokee? Okay. So it's hard to imagine that a billion population identify themselves as a Hindu, which is a kind of a mistake anyway to begin with. So Sanskrit was the language. Sanskrit means refined. So whatever is refined, Sanskrit is a very refined language, by the way.
So Sindhu is S-I-N-D-U?
Sindhu.
H.
And many aspects of Sanskrit we use in our daily lives as an American, believe it or not. Many of our language, especially, I have always hard time to say that name of the country, Lithuanian, Russian countries that,
Latvia?
Latvia.
or their language is very much based on Sanskrit. Those reasons, and also Indo-European language and the other aspect. Like for example, in Sanskrit we say mother, matra. And if you know the different languages, you know how similar matra is to mer, to Italian matra. Pitra is a father.
Latin is mater, M-A-T-E-R.
You see how similar. There are many, many similarities, but that's not my field of knowledge. So I do not know. But one thing interestingly that I want to teach you as a part of this class, that when you say yoga, you're not saying Sanskrit word. you're basically mispronouncing the word.